want to thank everyone for being with us this afternoon. I love this venue. What do you think about Rhythm City here? We've got a great lineup for you this afternoon, and usually we save the best till last, but we're going to do the best first this afternoon because Chad's got some other commitments. But I told Chad he's a warm-up for the officers, so it's like a... But I just want to talk a little bit about Chad's accolades here before he comes up to stage here. But Chad had a very decorated career with the University of Iowa football team, playing linebacker there before he was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings in the first-round draft pick in 2006. He was selected to the Pro Bowl twice in 2011 and 2012, recognizing his status among the league's elite linebackers. He served as defensive captain for multiple seasons, demonstrating leadership and guiding younger players. Chad led the Vikings in tackles 6 times during his career, including consecutive seasons from 2008 to 2012. Recorded a career-high 154 tackles in the 2011 season. Upon retirement, Chad ranked 4th in Vikings history for total tackles, amassing over 1,100 tackles. That's a lot of times hitting the ground, folks, let me tell you. Chad registered 11 interceptions, 18 sacks, forced 8 fumbles, recovered 11 fumbles, and scored 2 defensive touchdowns throughout his career. He played in 156 games, starting 144, and was known for his reliability and resilience despite the physical demands of the linebacker position. I just asked Chad, I said, what's the average length of time an NFL player is in the NFL? He said about 3.3 years, and being 11 seasons in the NFL is pretty phenomenal. Beyond the field, Chad was celebrated for his philanthropic efforts, earning the Vikings Community Man of the Year award 4 times during his career. Was a recipient of the National Football League Players Association prestigious Byron Whizzer White Award for his charitable contributions. This is the highest honors somebody can be recognized for in the NFL for their charitable efforts. You know, in just the short time I've had a chance to talk to Chad, I can just tell he's a great individual, great father, very dedicated husband, just a good family man, and just the perfect person to talk to Modern Woodmen today. So let's give Chad a big Modern Woodmen welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chad.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome. And I don't have to leave early for other commitments like go to the casino floor. I do have like some kids back home. They have a basketball game tonight. I got to make it back for. So I appreciate you guys accommodating my schedule. And wherever you are, raise your hand. Oh, she's back here. She's behind the curtain. But she's been tremendous to work with and the whole team. So, you know, it's always really important, I feel like, to get a smattering of the room. A lot of Hawkeye fans in here. So Hawkeyes, make some noise real quick. Not bad. I mean, I felt like we could have been a little more excited. You know, football's good. Basketball, we just beat Nebraska. We stormed the floor, which I still don't know how I feel about storming the floor when we get a win against a conference team. But Cyclones in here? There's always a loud one, Cyclone. It's great. Illini? I was worried about the borders real close. I knew that was a bit of an issue. I married one of you. She's from Joliet area, Shorewood. Yeah, you guys are a tough group. What else we got? UNI Panthers? Okay. Very subtle woo. We weren't sure on that one. Northwestern Wildcat, maybe? No, but nobody goes north. Oh, we got 1. God bless you. What am I missing? Who else we got? Badgers. We're kind of close. Get out of here. Now, before we get started and talk about serious stuff, you know, the other thing is like, you know, my NFL career, a lot of Bears fans are right here. So, okay. I was waiting. Happy you wouldn't have said a word last year. Now all of a sudden you have one good season and you're back. Like, it's amazing. I love this one because I know somebody in this room is a Seahawk fan, but how many Seahawk fans are there? I love it. 1. Just 1? 1 bandwagon fan in the whole room. Been a Seahawks fan for like a month. And usually if I make people stand up, we just started the conference or the day, so I won't make you stand up. But usually I'll be like, make the Chiefs fans stand the longest. Because you know those guys weren't Chiefs fans before. There's just no way. Maybe we have 1, Kansas girl, right? 1, okay. Yeah, but you get Mahomes. Like if I'd have been drafted when Mahomes was like drafted, like imagine, like, can I tell you the list of quarterbacks I played with? You don't want to hear it all, I'm telling you. Vikings fans, if you're a Vikings fan, you know I've been through it a little bit. But anyways, so 11-year career, and thanks for giving up all the accolades. It's very humbling to hear all that kind of stuff, and it's amazing. But I think it's really important to talk about, especially to professional groups, is like, how do we get there? You know, you're in the most competitive league in the world, play for 11 seasons, and you look at me like I met a lot of you beforehand. I'm not that impressive. I'm really not. I was asked to take my shirt off and do a flex off. I'm not going to do that. But a lot of times when you're in a professional world, like there's things that separate us that really either take no talent, right, or just work ethic, hard work and grind. And I kind of look back at my career when I started speaking a couple years ago, like what really gave me the opportunity to separate myself amongst these really, really competitive leagues and great people. And I came up with this idea of hunting greatness, and that it's really about identifying weaknesses in yourself and getting better, and finding ways to get better, and looking at yourself and saying, man, I'm cutting corners here, there, and everywhere. How do I tighten that up to get better? Now you may be thinking like, oh God, here we go, right? We're gonna have a motivational speech. But really you gotta look at your background and what makes you up and how you think, and then you realize maybe what's holding you back. Because during my career in the NFL, when the only thing you live in, I talk to my teenagers all the time, the only thing we talk about is the truth all the time. And sometimes in corporate world, in corporate America, we don't talk about the truth. There's HR departments, we gotta be real casual with our language. Who's in charge of HR around here? Oh, it's you, the Kansas girl. Oh my goodness, and she's a Chiefs fan. Gotta be nice to this one, huh? No swear, I won't swear today. I won't swear up here at all. Maybe I will, one or two. But this idea of like having to say the right things or email the right things, and when you walk in that NFL locker room or a Division I locker room in football and you say, we just tell the truth all the time. Whatever's on the film is gonna tell the truth and tell you where you're at, and the coach is gonna keep you right in line. And that was always the best way to understand, like, listen, I can't get defensive. I can't kind of get my back against the wall. I gotta take that criticism. I can't get defensive and point fingers. I have to own it, get better, move forward, and that's how you can maybe thrive or stay 11 years or have a successful career or do anything in your life that you want to do if you hold yourself to a really high standard and accountability. So growing up on a family farm, I'll get into that. So 3 principles I grew up with. These are me and my sisters. This is my last NFL game. Kelly, Jenny, and Chad. We were a product of the 80s, if you couldn't tell. My parents got real creative with the names. Thanks for that one. I was born in 83, and I said they broke the mold with me. My parents just said, no, we were broke. So that's why we stopped having kids. But the principles are very simple. Never forget where you came from. And that meant something different at 18 when I went to Iowa City, the big city of Iowa City, leaving our small town, right, and taking a risk to go play Division I football and kind of betting on yourself. That meant something different when I became a pro and had different stress and pressures and things to deal with. That meant something different when I became a dad and a husband and all these things I've become as an adult. But you can never forget what makes you who you are and what that background is. Something very, very important. Treat people right. Simple. In your line of work, in your business, this is everything. Whether it's a coworker, an employee, right, somebody you're dealing with, a customer, just simply when you shake somebody's hand, you look them in the eye and you actually listen. You hold the door for somebody, all these little things that we talk about all the time that actually work when you treat people right and you're authentic. And then relationships are everything. And I think every major decision we make as human beings, relationships should be the driving force. That ability to connect with somebody, that ability to be on the same wavelength, trust that they're gonna have integrity, do the right things, all the things that are so important that really, at the end of the day, matter the most. So that's my mom, Julie. She's a tough one now, let me tell you. That's her on the family farm. Any farm kids in the room? I figure there's a few of us, right? It's amazing way to grow up. And, learning the value of a hard day's work, I watched my parents. My parents were, we did a little bit of math. So my dad came from country school where they had K through 8 in one room. Says a lot. I think he was a little bit behind. We went to the big city town. Our town's 400 people. Went to the city, went to town for school. Met my mom as a freshman in high school, been like 72. They graduated in 76. Now we did the math. And South Dakotans, any other South Dakotans in the room, by the way? I can't be the only one in here that's that amazing. But one thing we're notorious for is being really bad at math. So we figured my sister was born in February. Okay, my parents were married in October. You guys are getting where I'm going on this, right? My mom said it was the slow gin back in the 70s. I can't even find slow gin in a liquor store anymore. But we figured it might have been prom when they got pregnant with my sister, which is just really horrible to think about. But the reality is that's where their relationship started. All they cared about was each other. All they cared about was going off on their own. They're both the oldest siblings in their family. Each family, farming families, didn't have any money, had all these kids, and they basically kicked my parents out and said, go figure it out yourself. So the bank buys them everything, right? They start a farm in the late 70s, in the early 80s. All of us kids are born. And then we watched as kids and learned the value of a hard day's work by watching them. When you have a family business, when you're on the farm and you're on a shoestring budget, you watch the struggle. You watch the decisions, you watch the arguments, you watch the when should we sell corn, when should we move pigs, when should we do this, should we invest in that? All the decisions that a farmer has to make, the struggle, the tightness with the wallet. Then you see them kiss and make up. Mom puts supper on the table at 10:30 at night. I'm not sure why we always ate so damn late. Had to work till the sun went down. I did swear once already. Dang it. Send me an email. But you watched and learned. So as a kid growing up, like this was my background. This is how I observed my family, my parents, that struggle. And then also like chores. I had chores that mattered. I have 4 daughters. Yeah, 4 daughters. It's expensive. That's why I'm out speaking. Yeah, thanks for that, guys, by the way. 18 and 15-year-old daughters, and then 11 and 9. The teenage daughters I talk to once in a while, every couple weeks, in person, usually over text. But they're great. But I can talk to my daughters all the time now. But hey, chores to do around the house. Put your clothes away. Maybe put the dishes away. Help mom set the table. Maybe make some meals. Do some fun stuff like that. Watch your sisters. Chores that you check a box. You got to do it. But did it really matter or impact somebody else? Like I had chores growing up where you're on the family farm and you say, okay, Chad, you're 11 years old. Take everything you need to fix that half-mile stretch of fence at Schultz's pasture. Throw it in the back of the truck. Drive your little butt over there. Don't crash. Keep it between the fences, Dad always would say. Right? And get that thing fixed. And you're thinking, okay, away we go. We throw all the stuff in the back end. No cell phones, right? We're not going to call and say, get it done right. And you knew that meant 5 barbs, better be tight and straight. Post got to be fixed or replaced, got to be upright, right? The fence has to be done correctly. Spacing's got to be good. Dad was a perfectionist. Dad would come check it out at the end of the day. You got to make sure it's right because the cow's got to be moved there tomorrow. And you think about the chores I had compared to my kids, and I'm like, man, if I don't do that right and we don't get that done, we can't move the cattle. It slows the process up. Now all of a sudden we get logged behind. It's just a chore that was something bigger than myself. And now my whole life, right, looking back, I've been a part of a team, an NFL team, a college team, and you realize that doing your job and playing your role is maybe the most important thing. And sometimes it's not the sexiest or the best job. You just got to do it and do it well. So my whole life I've been a part of a team. And anybody grew up in a pig farm? You grew up in a pig barn? The best, right? No, it sucks. Not the best. My dad, who was my hero, mentor, passed away in 2014. We lost him. He's an amazing man. Great dad, just a simple farmer from Mount Vernon. But my mom's first act was to sell the pigs. I'm like, okay, I guess he didn't like the pig farm, part of that operation. But when you're in a pig barn, the one benefit to being the pig farmer, as a kid, it was the one place we could swear. We could say any word we want in the pig barn. As soon as you walked out of that pig barn, you swore, you're going to get smacked. You guys probably grew up in a house similar to me, right? So you say something to mom, you're crossing the yard, you don't like something she did or said, or I got to go do, is kicking rocks, and you say something, smack, right? Pig barn, anything is free play. You can do whatever you want. And there was some colorful language that you would learn, some words you didn't even know what they meant, but you just wanted to say them. But you realize, when Dad would sort the pigs out of the pens, we'd have them all marked, and he'd get them in the alleyway. I was the alleyway guy. 20 inches wide, I get the 280-pound pigs out the end, turn the left, up the chute, into the trailer. 184 head would always fit on that trailer. We'd take them to Worthington, Minnesota, sell them, away we go. Again, playing your role, the cog on the wheel. So for me, it was in that alleyway, 3 pigs in front of you, 280-pounders, 280-pound, I'm not good at math, so whatever that is, a lot of weight. And in South Dakota, the wind just always blows. It just always. And the pig would be 6 a.m., and that wind would hit the snout, and that first pig would turn. And the second pig, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to turn. And that third pig, yep, they're going to turn. And then you dip down, and you have to get under the snout just a certain way, grab it here, and then you drive your legs. And how many tackles? 1,100 some tackles? And you realize where that all came from, moving pigs. But the idea of playing your role and doing your job, even if it's not the best thing you have to do, but it's just a cog in the wheel to move the thing forward, this big operation. And the funny thing was this chute that's behind my mom here, when I was at home, this was when I was in college when this picture was taken, before we couldn't afford a chute because Chad would throw all these calves in the ground and we have to give them all their vaccinations and we give them this one implant that would help them grow faster. And my mom hit me with the implant gun at least 3 or 4 times in this right arm. I got scars up and down my right arm. And now at 43 years old, I go home and tell my mom, look at this. This is 25 years old. But then she realizes, my dad's 5'8", my mom's 5'9", and I'm 6'3", and I get implanted with the protein. the growth hormone. I'm like, actually, thank you. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. But this idea of growing up where you just had to be resourceful. When you load the back of that truck up to go fix fence, you just throw the stuff in there you think you need. And then think about your lives and how many times throughout your day you're just making stuff up to get it done. You're resourceful. You're scrapping things together. You're figuring out problems. You're solving issues, right? That comes from somewhere. This idea of like, I don't know who's going to do it, but I'm going to pick up and just go get it done. Getting things done and moving things forward. That's me and my dog Snoop. He was the best. The white German Shepherd. He was awesome. And then that's Mount Vernon, population 368. Played 9-man football, graduated 26 kids in my class. It was an amazing place to grow up. Probably a lot of us in this room grew up in small towns. The feeling of being in that small town, the community, the Friday night lights, the sporting events, it was just a community that was just amazing. Wouldn't change a thing. That was the one paved road in our town. We got paved roads in my sophomore year of high school. That was a big deal. Big deal. And I'm not sure what it is about small towns that we'd steal every pumpkin, throw them right on that main street, drive over them with our trucks, just like a bunch of hillbillies. And then, like that city manager didn't know exactly who we were and whose vehicle that was. There's 368 people in town. Let's get real. Bad news would beat you home. But the thing about that small town, the reason I have that picture up here, think back in my career, this was the last place, and you guys can think about your own lives now with social media and the craziness of the world, and your success or failures. This is the last place I feel like everybody wanted me to be successful. You ever think about that? Like, who's really got your back? In your own career, and your family life, and the decisions you're making, you're starting a business, you're going to go out on your own, you're going to do something, you can take a risk. Like, who really wants you to see you succeed, or maybe somebody just kind of wants to see you fall flat on your face. A lot of that going on. We're going to talk about that circle we keep and how tight we have to keep that circle. But this hometown, I think about the Friday night lights, I think about the letters that were written to me at my graduation, and we just want Chad to be successful. We want Chad to go out and do big things. We want him to do well. We want him to carry our Mount Vernon name with pride, the name in the back of his jersey, go out and do amazing things. We're going to be rooting for you. Now, I was just so happened to be lucky enough to go to Iowa and then go to Minnesota, and my career was taking place in about a 5-hour window where everybody could kind of celebrate my career. And I'm very, very fortunate to have that. So this is me in high school. I was a quarterback, by the way. I often think about our Vikings' lack of success. Had I played quarterback, Coach Ferentz moved me to linebacker, so it's his fault. But let's be honest, I'd be farming if I played quarterback in college. I'd probably played in the NFL. So I started speaking a couple years ago, like I mentioned, and a mentor of mine has written a million books and has been speaking forever his whole life. And he's like, listen, if you're a former athlete, you're going to tell your story and kind of relate it to people and groups. Just never make yourself the hero of your own story. So I made sure he told all my accolades. And then I had a picture of me receiving an award in my slideshow. So I don't take advice very well. I feel like I look pretty jacked there for 18, but that's not the point. The point is those guys in that picture with me. And everybody in this room can attest to this. When you're part of a team, you're part of something bigger, we always used to say, all ships rise in a rising tide. When things are good and things are going well, if you're part of that team and you're doing your job and you're doing it well, we're all going to get whatever it is we're looking for, success or promotion or whatever it is, that award that we're going to give out at the end of the year. And the importance of this picture for me was I don't get my whole career without those guys in that game. That's my state championship game my senior year of high school, 9-man football, pretty irrelevant, small town football in South Dakota. Because those guys helped me get to that game and I was able to showcase my abilities. One former Iowa player watched that game, called Coach Ferentz, and said, have you ever heard of Chad Greenway before? They're like, no idea what you're talking about. We don't recruit South Dakota. Shocker. So I got a call to my high school coach from Reese Morgan, the longtime recruiter at Iowa, and he's like, hey, can you make a highlight tape? This was 2001. Who knows what a VHS tape is in this room? Don't age yourself. Don't raise your hand. You're going to age yourself really quick. Some of you don't know what that is. So you had to take about 3.5 weeks to make yourself a highlight tape on VHS tape, dub things over, the whole deal, you got it. And he sent it off to Iowa, and pretty soon Reese Morgan shows up in our school, looks me up and down and says, hey, we'd like to have you come down on a visit. Go down and visit Iowa City. I went down to Nebraska the week before, and everybody was a Husker fan back in the day. You know, in the 90s, that was the heyday. They still live in the heyday in the 90s. Any Husker fans in here, you know what I'm talking about? And we know you used to be good. And they're like, it was Frank Soch. He's like, son, we'll offer you a chance to walk on the University of Nebraska. And I'm like, great. Couldn't even Google what walk on meant then, but I knew I had to pay for school. Keep in mind, we're broke. Okay, that's not as good of an option. I'll go play D2 football, get it paid for. The next week I go to Iowa City. A kid had committed to another school, backed out of a scholarship. They offered it to me, and that was my one scholarship offer. And it just goes to show you, like, look at my career, the 11 years and all the opportunities I got to play in front of and realize my dream, be a Hawkeye, win 2 Big Ten championships, playing all these amazing games, and you just never know when your opportunity is going to be there for you. And you never know what team is going to be that's going to get you there. So I look at myself and I hear about the success, and I got to live my dream. It's because of those guys. Without those guys and that team, I'm not living any part of my dream. Those guys never played football again. Kyle Baker, number 99, runs a huge farm. Actually raises a ton of watermelons and pumpkins. He has a huge Walmart contract. I used to throw pumpkins and watermelons for his parents. Now he took over that operation. He used to load pigs with us in our farm, so I got the better of that one. He had to come load pigs in my place. He had to smoke a pig the rest of the day. And you think about that in your life, about how you got where you got to. And sometimes we want to give ourselves all the credit, don't we? When you realize you got to look around like, who gave me that opportunity? How did I get there? Now, it's my job to be ready for it when it comes. It's my job to go play well in that game. But without those guys that got no attention or no accolades, I don't get to do anything that's my dream. So I'm not really smart, but I'm smart enough to take a free education. So I went to the University of Iowa. And, break the rock was the mantra of the Iowa program for a bunch of years. And it was just any great business or great team always has a culture identifier, something bigger than the program that they can kind of look at. If you're a Gopher fan at all in here, I'm sorry if you are, but if you are a Gopher fan, PJ Fleck, if you're a college football fan, always says roll the boat. That's their mantra, their motto. That's what they always say. Ours was break the rock. This idea that we're never going to be the most talented team or group, right? But if all of us are swinging that sledgehammer on that rock, on the 1,000th blow, we're going to break that rock in half. But it wasn't the 1,000th blow that did it. It was the 999 days we stacked on that to get that thing broke. It was the first place, and really the first time in my life, I realized there's this idea of leadership and culture and being a part of something really, really big. You kind of think about it in high school, but you get there, you walk in, you're like, wow, this is different. They live it, they embody it. And if I could talk about one emotion, as a human being, we all have it. When I was going to Iowa City, this was my dream, to play Big Ten football. I got my one opportunity, and I was walking into campus. My emotion that I felt was fear. And we've all been there. Even guys, you have to admit it too, I'll tell you. And fear is an ultimate driver of a decision. It's a Y in the road. There's no straight path. You either lean into the fear, you say, I'm going to go bet on myself, and I'm going to have this huge chip on my shoulder to go prove that I can do it. Whatever it is you're doing, the job you're in now, the business you want to start, your family life, whatever it is, it's a Y in the road, and I'm scared. Because being scared of something, you might lean away. I'm not willing to try. I'm not willing to take the risk. I don't want to take that. I was going to go over here and hide in my corner, nice and safe. So for me, there was pressure to go perform, and there was pressure to kind of go out there and put myself out there, because if I didn't make it, I was going to come limping back home, and it was going to be known that you didn't make it. The only Division I football recruit in South Dakota that year, the South Dakota State coach, even called me and said, listen, you got to go to Iowa, but if you can't make it, you can come back and play for me. It's like, okay, great. That's a vote of confidence. But you had to decide. So when you walk onto campus and you go to your first workout in Iowa City and with all these big recruits and you're nervous and you walk in, you're going to do a lift, you're going to do a run and do all these things, you automatically start comparing yourself. Right? I'm looking around, am I fast enough? Am I big enough? Can I do this? Am I strong enough? All this stuff. Right? And on day one, you realize, like, okay, like you come home, like I can compete with these guys. I had to give everything I had, but I could hang. And then one day became 2, and 2 became 10, and 10 became 100, and all of a sudden you start to look around and you realize that it didn't matter how many stars you had beside your name when you were being recruited or how many offers you had. And the best place I could have been was Iowa City, because Coach Ferentz and his staff, they are the best at developing players. They're the best at taking guys with a big chip on their shoulder that have a really big work ethic and a really big engine and a want to be good, right? And just lean into that. And harvesting as much talent as they can out of that guy. And a lot of those guys, like me, end up being pros. Because it's not how many stars you have. It's not the accolades you have. It's your willingness to put your ego aside for something bigger than yourself and go work. And after 100 days, after a year, you start to look around and be like, man, not only am I in a better position than these other big-time recruits or 5-star recruits, I'm having a chance to play. I'm running with the 1s and 2s. I went through a redshirt year. I'm in spring ball. All of a sudden, I'm playing linebacker. I moved from quarterback to linebacker. All these great things are happening. You climb the ladder. You kind of overcome this hurdle. You're betting on yourself. And then my first spring ball, I tear my ACL. So you climb this mountain. You take this risk. You lean into your fear, all the good stuff. You're there. You just take it one day at a time. And even then, you're going to have setbacks. Welcome to life. You've all lived it. You've all been there. You've all had setbacks. And the best part about setbacks is we get to choose our response. How many times in your life you had something go bad that you did not anticipate? You're an adult. All the time. This stuff happens all the time. It's a character revealer, right? How you respond to things when things are the hardest really determine who you are as a person. An injury in sport, right, is bad, and you're just a setback, and you're out for a long time, and you come back. But the hardest part is the mental hurdle that you have to get over, not the physical. So that physical, that mental grind of getting up the next day and doing it and just jumping back on that bike and just climbing that ladder again, getting back in that same position. So I come back that next year, sit out a year, get ready, come back the next year, earn the starting position, 3-time All-Big Ten, 2-time All-American. The rest is history, as they say. It's a bump in the road, and you get to choose how you respond to that. Now, 2 big lessons I learned at Iowa that really served me well in life. Probably 2 biggest lessons I could have learned. First one is standards. And we all have standards for ourselves, our personal life, our relationships, our work life, our coworkers, our businesses. We have standards. Standards operating of how we operate, how we do things. At Iowa, you're in the weight room, and all of a sudden you see a guy not touching the line on a sprint. You see a guy cutting the corner. You see a guy shorting a rep. You see a guy not putting the proper weight on his weight he's supposed to do for bench press or squat. He's cutting a corner. And Coach Doyle, our strength coach, would say, if you're cutting a corner, right, that's your standard. What you're willing to walk by and let happen becomes your standard. And you can apply that to every part of your life. So my standards I keep in my household with my children, right? My standards how I keep my professional life, my standards of speaking, my standards of my workout, my nutrition, my diet. We all have standards, and what you're willing to just let go becomes who you are. Now, in football terms, if you do that and you cut reps and you cut corners and you don't touch the line and you don't follow through and we're going to let him get away with this, well, that becomes who you are. And it's really hard to beat better teams, more talented groups when our group isn't working together and doing all we can. That's your standard. And the second most important thing I learned when I was in Iowa City was this really kind of cool concept of being the thermostat or the thermometer. Again, a weight room where we all learn to be tough and learn to do the hard things with Chris Doyle as our strength coach in Iowa City, where the culture of the program was really built. Had these big, like 25-foot steel doors, and you had to open them up, and they made all sorts of noise, like you're in ancient Rome, right? And you walk in the doors, it's like you're walking into a different world. This level of intensity, right, was intimidating. Talk about fear. Like you're scared to fail. You're scared to screw up. You're scared to not do things right. So showing up 15 minutes early was on time. Guys are just in there waiting, making sure we're not late, because you did not want to have the punishment of being late. But this idea of walking into a weight room at 5:30, 6 a.m., right, and having to bring your best, right? You got to bring the energy, the attitude, the enthusiasm to whatever it is you're doing. This is the idea of being the thermostat or the thermometer. Now, what does the thermometer do? Temperature outside is high, it's going to go high, low. It's going to adjust to whatever temperature is out there, right? It's going to be up and down and fluctuate. But as a human, like I want to be a thermostat. What does a thermostat do? It sets the tone. It sets the temperature, right? When you walk into a room, I don't care if you're walking into a Zoom meeting, an in-person meeting, a meeting with the boss, whatever it is, you set the tone with your energy. You set the tone as the thermostat of here's who I'm going to be. You either can live up to it or not. And you walk into that 5:30 a.m. lift, and you bring in some energy and some juice. We throw on some music, and all of a sudden we're hopping around. And you know you probably don't want to be there either. But all of a sudden people are like, yeah, a little bounce in their step. I can do this. Let's go. A little shrug of the shoulders. And pretty soon everybody's gravitating towards you. You're being the energy in the room. You're setting the temperature of the room. Those 2 lessons that I learned while being there, very simple things. Standards and setting the temperature for yourself. And not letting somebody else dictate who you're going to be and how you're going to react. I always got kind of, this guy was like, especially when I went in the NFL, right? Everyone's kind of too cool, right? Walking into it, acting tired. And I'm like popping in there, let's go, right? Like we're ready. And I kind of got this, I'm a corny guy, right? I don't care what you think about me. Because I know that's what I need to get going, and that's the energy I have to go be the best I can. Because that's the only way I can make it 11 years. I'm not the most talented guy. I'm probably the best looking, but not the most talented. We can all agree on that. I'm not going to ask your opinion, but we can agree. So having said all that, and you can laugh at this picture. This is okay. My wife does not know she's in these slides. I've had what my teenage girls call a glow up since early 2000s. I've also been told that's a good thing. The hairstyle, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But I pulled her, so that's all I got to say. It must have been my personality, clearly. So the slide is humility, and I think sometimes to learn humility in life, And I think for a lot of people, you have to be truly humiliated. And like have that moment in your life and like you've really been humbled in front of people you cared about the most. And for me, like I talk about my story in Iowa City and going there as a nobody and earning my way in and being an All-American, that's all great, right? But there's some lessons within there that you learn that you take for life, no matter what, if you play pro football, right, or you're selling life insurance or whatever it is you're doing, right? You take these lessons. And for me, my sophomore year, one of the first games I started on the road at Ohio State, we lose 19-10, take the loss. Really tough place to play. You have every excuse you want, right? Really good quarterback, really good offense. So you play the game, you lose 19-10, you go in the locker room, take your shoulder pads off, coach speaks, meet with the linebacker coach, and then you get about 5 minutes to take a breath, and all of a sudden the media comes in. That's just how it works in the NFL locker room afterwards. Media shove that camera and microphone in your face and want something to put in the paper tomorrow. As a young linebacker, we give up very few yards to this really good offense. We played really well. We only give up three actual field goals on defense. So pick 6 on offense, 3 field goals on defense. Special teams give up bad field position for another field goal. All of a sudden, there we are, lose 19-10. And they sort of asked me, like, hey, what more could you guys have done defensively? You guys played as well as you could have. And they just reeled me in, right? Young guy. I'm like, listen, it's really hard to play against those guys. They're really talented. We couldn't have done a whole lot more. We can't have the pick 6 on offense. We can't get up the field position on special teams. Like, we got to win together as a team. Defense held up their end. So you walk into the meeting room the next day. It's a team meeting room. Not this big, but you get the idea. You're all looking at Coach Ferentz. There's big screens behind me, right? We're going to go over a bunch of plays from the game that we're disappointed in you. Not sure how we can never find positive plays, even in a win. Like, it's always negative, but just the way it goes. Leave your confidence at the door. But what pops up on the screen, I'm sitting like 11 o'clock. Guy in the orange, raise your hand right there. Boom. 2 oranges actually in a row. Look at that. That's where I'm sitting, right? And all of a sudden, on these screens, pop up my quote. Coach Ferentz speaking. Everybody that I love and care about is in this room, right? Other than my family, but my football family, the people that I respect more than anybody. I want their opinion of me to be really strong. I've given everything to this program up to this point, right? I bought in. I'm doing everything. He reads the quote. You feel about this big. You want to hide. You want to run away. And then he goes to show about 10 to 15 snaps of my game where I screwed up. Missed tackle, missed assignment, miscommunication. You name it in football, it's going to happen, right? If you play football out there, any sport, a reaction sport, like mistakes are going to happen. Just try to limit them, right? Try to make the mistakes in a position where your teammate can make a play, especially on defense. So times when I could have done more. And the theme of the story is, no matter how much you think you've gotten covered, no matter how well you think you're doing, and the team isn't doing well, when we start to point, right, you have to have the mentality of you can do more. Well, I've already returned all my emails. I got back to my customers. I've done all these things, right? I checked all my boxes. Great. I'm not sure why we're not having success. It must be somebody else's fault. Or could you have done something else to hold up your end? This idea of looking at yourself first to say, where do I get better so our team can be better? That lesson was a hard lesson to learn. And I had been living it, but then in life it's so funny. You can live it and live it and live it and do all the right things, and then one little slip up and the whole life that you've gained, just boom, gone, start over. Everyone wants to attack that mistake. But the best part about being a human being is we get to choose our response. So things go bad, things have gone bad. You've done something wrong. Your response to that situation is going to determine everything it is about you as a character. What kind of character you have. Again, a revealer. So I know if I start saying, he misquoted me, that guy doesn't know. You know that guy, he's an idiot. You ever read his paper? It's terrible. You start pointing fingers, all of a sudden, I'm a fraud. Everything that I stood for, everything that I've done and worked for is just gone like that. That's how life works. But if you embrace and say, I said it, it's on me. You see me in here working, you see me grinding, I'm one of you, I made a mistake, my bad, move on, and gain that trust back. We've all been in that decision making, we've all been in that spot where we have to own stuff and move forward with it. So I get drafted 17th overall to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, unbelievable, dream come true. It was one of those feelings, like hopefully we've all had some feeling like that where you just like, I can't believe this is happening. It's just euphoric. I'm back on our family farm, college friends, high school friends, going through this process together. It's amazing. And in South Dakota at the time, in 2006, we had one cell phone tower, a couple hours from my house. So I have a Palm Trio back in 06. Who else had a Palm Trio back in the day? Those things were sweet, like the original iPhone. And you have to give out 2 numbers to every NFL team just in case they're going to draft you. So boom, my Palm Trio lights up, like pick 15. I think the Rams were picking, and I had visited the Rams. I'm like, okay, could be coming. All of a sudden, boom, get a call, bang. It's 9.52. Now, before this process starts, my wife, who's from Chicago, went to University of Iowa. She ran track and cross country at Iowa. She'd always go up to Minnesota for track meets in the winter. They have a good indoor track in Minnesota. Go up there for track meets. She'd see the cold and terrible conditions in January and February up there. So her goal, like being a Chicago girl in Iowa City, she's like, I don't care where we go as long as it's south of Iowa. Because you're talking 32 NFL teams, you get to go anywhere, right? It's literally lottery, you can take a pick, who knows, right? Depends if they like you that day. South of Iowa, I'm like, okay, great. So that day, draft day comes, the 9.52, and if you know area codes, like, you know where that is, right? And my buddy's a Vikings fan, he's like, that's Minnesota. And my wife's like, you've got to be kidding me. St. Louis was picking. Now, we can have our opinions of St. Louis. I got one. But they moved to LA, I guess that would have been a nice little move. But point being is it was going to be cold. But the call drops. You try to answer it, Palm Trio, come on, one cell tower, nothing, drops. Rings again, boom, pop it. Hello, coach. Nothing, drops. So we've all had these in our houses, I guarantee you. Remember those cords, those curly Q cords from the wall? You'd stretch around the corner so mom couldn't hear you talk to your girlfriend or boyfriend, right, in high school. That thing worked like a charm. Let me tell you, that thing rings, I got him the second number, farmhouse. So I'm stretching this cord out, sitting in the lazy boy, see myself get called in the 17th pick of the NFL draft. ESPN's got a camera crew there. It was the most South Dakota draft pick of all time. I mean, you couldn't have picked it different. I mean, curly Q, pigtail telephone cord, in the lazy boy, the whole place goes crazy, and we were Minnesota Vikings. And the craziest part about that whole thing was how you knew you weren't a quarterback is they flew me commercial from Sioux Falls to Minneapolis. That was the first one. I didn't get the jet. I was a quarterback and I got the jet. And second thing was I go up there, we have a press conference that next morning after the draft pick. And my whole life I'd been the underdog. Small town kid, right? The all shucks 9-man football kid that gets one offer, goes to Iowa City, has a bunch of success. Right now all of a sudden you're the draft pick where they're paying you a lot of money and there's expectations. I've never been in that position where all of a sudden there's high expectations. And if you don't perform, we'll find somebody else who can. And we're paying you a lot of money, so you better be good. So the questions at press conference are like, how soon can you get on this team as a starter? Right? How fast can we turn this defense around? Hey, new coach, like what can we expect from this team from wins and loss standpoint? All these things are coming at you, and you're like, wow, this is a different feeling than being the underdog. And it was one that, probably the first time in my life since I left to go to Iowa City where you felt like, man, I'm out of water here. I don't know how to react. Like, who do I need to be now? You feel like in what I do, in who I am enough. And how good I am at football, is that enough? So I go home from that meeting, meet with my dad, before we go to Iowa City and load up and go to Minnesota to become Vikings. And he's like, they drafted you for who you are. Never forget where you came from. This idea of you don't have to become somebody else because you're at this bigger stage. Like, who you are is enough. That's why they're drafting you. Like, your work ethic and that day-to-day grind, that mentality of showing up and giving your best, like, you don't have to go become somebody else, because if you become somebody else, that's not who they want. It gave me some perspective on, I don't have to go crazy. I don't have to go do something and just do off the radar and do something different. Like, just be myself. So, go to my first training camp. I'm working my way up through the ones and twos. I'm taking some first-team reps. We go to our first preseason game, play the Oakland Raiders. I run down on punt team, make a tackle, play one defensive snap, and then we scored on offense. I ran down on kickoff, tear the other ACL. So your NFL career, right, you get high draft pick, all these expectations, and all you want to do is go prove yourself. That's it. It's all you care about, because that league, it's so competitive. Everybody's so good. Like, they drafted me to go replace this guy. I go to the first practice. I'm like, I'm supposed to be better than this guy? Like, everybody's so good. Like, how do I separate myself from these people? So now I tear my ACL. I can't go prove. You don't want to go prove. You want to go prove yourself, right? I don't care what it is. If somebody calls you out, you want to go prove how good you are. Prove that you're up to that standard. So I'm a draft pick, a high draft pick with all these expectations. I just want to go play. Go, I'll show you. Then when you lose your knee and you can't play for a year, it's an IR in the NFL. You're sitting a full year. There's no coming back. And all you do is just think, and you wonder, and you ponder, and you stress. And all I know I could do was prepare for what was going to come next, the next year. So I used that year as a redshirt year to say, okay, things are not going my way. Things are tough. I have to learn. So I used that year. I'm sitting in every meeting. I watched all these veterans, good and bad veterans, who've been in it, had a lot of success. How do they take notes? I'm watching film with them. What are they looking for on film? How do they prepare for a game? What's their practice preparation like? Like, what are they looking at as a linebacker? Like, what are you watching from films that I can learn? How are they approaching the weight room? How are they approaching travel trips? How do they work with their family? right? They have this stress and pressure, but they got a family and a wife and all these other obligations. Like, how are they managing that? So you just watch and observe and learn. And they also watch people that aren't doing it right, because sometimes we learn more from the people that aren't doing it right than the ones that are in life. So try to take any negative, right, and make it a positive. Use it as a redshirt season and go get better. So that next year, tear the ACL, come back my second year. My first start was against the Atlanta Falcons in 2007. I'll give 3 people a guess at who the starting quarterback was that year. Everybody always says Vic. Nope. Much worse than that. He's an Oregon Duck. Man, I stumped all of you. Big football fans in here. Initials are JH. Joey Harrington, you got it. It was an easy win for us. Say that. Joey Harrington and the Atlanta Falcons. But that shortly after that, or right actually before that season, we have our oldest daughter, Madden. She's now 18. Shows you how fast life goes. She's going to be a basketball player at the University of Kentucky next year. My Hawkeye fans were not super impressed by that, and I have an explanation for that if you will ask. But we love the Hawks, but she wanted to carve her own path, and I don't blame her, right? She's an amazing athlete. She wants to go carve her own path and get out of mom and dad's shadow, so she's going to be a Wildcat. Lexington's pretty nice, I must add. It's not Iowa City, though. Let's be real. But I talk about finding my purpose. And when you're a professional athlete, you have this big stage and big platform and all these expectations of who people think you should be. But I knew who I really was. Because I think back and I scale back to who that Chad Greenway from Mount Vernon is. It was a guy that wanted to be like his dad, a guy that wanted to be a hard worker, do the right things, and make that small town proud. So when I have a daughter in my second year in the NFL, I want to be a dad. I want to be a great dad. I want to be a great husband. And when you have your purpose in life and you identify that early, it makes things like being a professional athlete a lot easier. Because football still was just what I did. Yes, a lot of stress and pressure and things that come with that, and a crazy platform, but also like it's still just what I did. And when I came home, whether it was a really good game or a really bad game, my wife was very good about keeping me in line on this is what matters. And having that stability and having my purpose right in front of me made me my career. It allowed me to put those things first and foremost and focus on football when I was in football and focus on my family when I was home. And everything was just solid. But built on a foundation of where I started, because I had great parents who said, this is how. There's going to be hard times, there's going to be great times, but if you do this together, things are a lot easier. So going back to that, relationships are everything. If you want to have success in life, harvest those relationships and those connections. So I'm a big believer in motivations, your motives, like why you do something, right? So my whole purpose was not necessarily to be a pro athlete because I want to make a bunch of money. That's something that can come with it, right? But my motivation to be a pro athlete was like, I want to prove to myself I can make it. Like I want to be a Division I athlete because I want to prove that I can make it, that chip on my shoulder. I have 2 examples of teammates where motivations determine their outcome, and it's no different for you guys in your positions. Like you may have your job because you make a lot of money, you hate it, you hate the people you work with, but hey, I make a bunch of money. That's great. Well, sometimes when your motivations aren't pure, things don't end up working out at the end. When you're in your job for the right reasons, you're toiling hard, you're doing the right things, you're making connections with employees or coworkers, like a lot of times those guys are going to have success because good things happen to good people. In this case, Percy Harvin, an incredible teammate, incredible athlete, one of the best teammates you could have. He's the guy that would run through a brick wall for you. So in the locker room, us guys, we're tight, right? Percy would do anything. He had this crazy migraine issue that dealt with his whole career. He would fight through that. But anytime Percy had an issue with authorities, being a coach, GM, head coach, position coach, a guy that was keeping him from getting the ball enough, he would have an issue. He'd have a fight. It was a constant battle. And we're like, Percy, like you're the best. You're a great teammate. You play through all these crazy injuries, and like you don't have to go. You're going to get yours. He wanted to get to that second contract so fast, and in his mind, those folks were keeping him from getting that. So I need the ball more so I can go prove I can get more yards. Yeah, but Percy, if you just do what you're doing and you do it well, you're going to get paid well. You're one of the best players in the league. He's top 5 freak of all time I played with. He was more explosive and better in a lot of ways than Adrian was. Peterson. Played with Adrian for 10 years and played with Percy for 4. Percy was different. His explosiveness was like the Tesla off the line, and you're in your F-150, right? That was just different. I'm the F-150 if you couldn't guess. He's the Tesla. Just looked different to your eye. See him run through just crazy stuff, play through crazy stuff, but he couldn't get out of this hurdle of like, you're holding me back from getting to my next contract, so therefore there's got to be animosity towards you. But his motivation, if it would have been placed in the fact of, if we can put this team first and this team motivation, they're going to get me the ball because they have to have success too. If he'd have put that first, he'd have payed for 12 years and been in the Hall of Fame. He played for 6, 4 for us, went to Seattle for 2, out of the league after 6 years. And I have not seen Percy since we played together. but I've heard several interviews he's given, and he regrets all the things that he did because at the time he thought that was a priority. When reality was he was so talented, the money part would have came no matter what. Just jump in line, be a part of what we're doing, and all those good things will happen. Adam Thielen on the right was a $500 scholarship kid at Minnesota State Mankato. D2 football, nobody gave him a chance. His whole goal was, I'm going to go prove to you I'm good enough in D2. He gets one invite to a mini camp with the Vikings because he wasn't a draft pick, wasn't an undrafted free agent. He comes to the mini camp. He does everything he can do to make it, just to prove to himself. Gets invited to training camp, makes it through training camp, gets invited to the practice squad, one of 8 guys. Basically, which means we're gonna beat you up as a defense. He's a receiver. We're gonna beat you up and see if you can make it, right? If you can stay healthy, all the things. He was the guy though because he knew he was there. His only goal was the money part was like, no chance of making money in this league. It was that chip on his shoulder to prove to himself and everybody that he's good enough to make it. So what was his approach? I'm going to do everything I possibly can. I'm going to show up early, stay late. I'll play any position you need, coach. I'll play quarterback this week. I'll play receiver. I'll play DB, whatever you need. I'll play on every special team. I'll do anything possible to get a chance to play. In year 3, he finally makes it on the special teams and plays some actual football games. Gets off the practice squad. In that same season, as he's torching us in practice, one guy goes down in the game about midway through the season. He gets a chance to play receiver, which was his main position, and he's really good. And to see the locker room, the sideline, sorry, when he gets put in the game, just erupts. Because we have been watching him every day for 3 years, just waiting and doing all the right things and turning over every leaf. He knows every position. He can run anything. He can run slot, outside right, outside left. He can play in the backfield. He knows all the quarterback's calls. He knows the line checks. He can do anything. Play on every special team. And when his name was called, his ego was out of the way, and it wasn't about how much money can I make. It wasn't about, like, I'm going to show you how good I am. He wanted to make it to prove to himself. So the guy plays for 13 years. He just retires, makes all sorts of money, which was never his motivation. But it comes because he just had his mind in the right spot. He got his ego out of the way and said, listen, it's not about me and mine and the dollars. That's going to come if I do the right things. So your motivations, and you are the only one that knows what's going on up here and how you think about what you do. So a lot of times your motivations and how you think are going to determine your success and where you're going to go. So these 4 characteristics of teammates that I played with that to me identify the winning pedigree, this idea of like hunting for individual greatness. These are going to be guys you probably either know or heard of. Kansas girl, if you're Kansas State or Jayhawks? State. Okay, so Ben Lever, he's a Wildcat. He linebacker from South Dakota. 4 years older than me. He was a guy that I looked up to. He gave me the idea like South Dakotans can actually make it. I watched him. I dreamt of being like him. I wanted to be a linebacker. I went to Kansas State, got drafted by the Chargers. He comes to the Vikings in 06 as a free agent when I get drafted. So my hero, my mentor growing up is now on the team in the same linebacker room as me. And sometimes when you meet your heroes, like they say, don't meet your hero, kid. He's probably an asshole, right? Second swear word. 2 emails. Or send them on the same email. But sometimes you meet your heroes, you're like, oh, that disappointed me. And this is a chance when I get a chance to talk about character. We talk about character in life all the time. But when you drill down on what does that really mean? To me, it's just somebody who is willing to do the right thing all the time, no matter if somebody's looking or not looking, how they treat the person, the waiter, the waitress, the person doing the laundry in the NFL locker room, the PR guys, the lunch lady, whatever it is, how they treat somebody matters to me the most. And we're going to talk about our circle. So again, 2 teenage daughters. And my thing is this. If you're around 4 other people that are really encouraging people, you'll be the 5th. If you're around 4 people that are hating on others and talking smack, you'll be the 5th. If you're around 4 hard workers, right, you'll be the 5th. If you're around 4 people of high character that do the right things, that shake people's hands and look them in the eye, have integrity, you'll be the 5th. You show me your 5 closest friends, I'll show you your future. So it's something for teenagers that's very obvious, but I think as adults we can learn that even more so now. Because our circle changes and we meet, kids' friends and sports teams' friends and all these different people. And then I look at it forensically and say, when I'm around them, they give me an icky feeling. I don't really know why. Like, why they really are friends? Like, what are they really saying behind our back? Like, do they really want my kids or us to have success? So I always kind of make you guys do a little work and say, well, think about your circle. Who do you keep closest to you? Do they really have your best interest in mind? And if they don't, are you tough enough or willing to either call them out or remove them from your circle? Because when I'm around Ben, like I wanted to be like Ben. He has integrity, self-discipline, high standards, which I learned in college, which really, really matters. If I'm going to hang around Ben, I'm going to be a better person, a better player, right? I'm going to take things more seriously, right? I'm going to have a better career. Team motivated guy, no ego. I was the linebacker that got to make all the tackles. He was the guy that got to take on the blocks. So he gets no credit. I get all the credit. He gets taken on blockers doing his job, so I could do mine. Doing his job, didn't need the attention, team motivated. This is Steve Hutchinson. He's a Michigan Wolverine, which sucks. Sorry, Wolverines fans, but come on. But I was also a teammate with his in the pros. One of the best players I've ever played with. Hall of Famer, gold jacket, incredible. This guy was born to be a left guard in the NFL. I was his locker mate. He was in his 6th year. I come in and get drafted. I was his locker mate. He's like, I have one rule for rookies. And he didn't talk a whole lot. He was an only child growing up, so it was all about him. It's a joke for you only children out there. I'm sorry if it offended you. But I have one rule for rookies. Just don't talk. Got it. Okay, I can handle that one. That's a simple rule. Can I talk like when I'm not by you, or just like when I'm by you? I had to kind of learn these rules in the locker. But the thing about Steve, as you watch and observe, and that was one of those guys my rookie year that I'm watching and saying, I need to be like this guy. A guy takes 6 or 7 highlighter colors to a meeting and draws out everything that his opponents are going to do, meticulous, obsessive notes. So physically, this guy's one of the best players the league has ever seen to play left guard. But on game day, he's going to be more prepared than you, right? He's going to know what you're going to do before you're going to do it. And you might beat him because he slipped. That's about it. But you can't beat these guys because he consistently shows up and has excellence every day. So imagine being that good at something, but then also being the guy that's the hardest worker at practice and the hardest worker in the weight room. That's how you become a Hall of Fame yellow jacket guy, gold jacket guy. Is because you're the best physically, but also you have the intangibles like consistency that you show up every day and do the same thing over and over and over again. Complacency is the enemy of greatness. To see Steve walk out to practice on a Wednesday late in the season, all beat up, full pads, ready to go, when he could have taken that day off. And he's still the hardest worker in the room. Like being that good wasn't good enough for him because the standards were so high. Jared Allen. So Chiefs fans, we can get behind this one. He's one of you guys as well. Jared Allen is one of the most fun guys I got to play with. Incredible. Motor. High intensity. If you want to describe an athlete with gritty toughness, a guy that you would hate to play against but love to have on your team, that's Jared Allen. He made everybody better. Just relentless. If I could define grit, these words I think sum it up about perfect. Persistence. Determined, resilient, outwork, outprepare, outlast. You think about somebody in your life, you think about the sports is an easy analogy, right? Some of you, man, I hate to play against that guy. He just will not quit. Just everything he does is just relentless. Play after play after play. Maybe that was you. Maybe you were the one that people loved that you were on their team. Well, now you're on this team. And how do you operate? Do you make people better around you? Are they drawn to you? Are you the thermostat like Jared was? He was one of the 2 guys in my career. Hawkeye fans remember Bob Sanders, the great safety we had to play for the Colts. He was the first guy that was like, that's different. I want to play like Bob. I'm on the field with him. He raised everybody's level of standards in play. Jared was the other guy in the pros. When you're a pro amongst pros, the 1% of the 1%ers, you're just different. And again, he's not the most talented guy. If he walked in here right now, he looks like a NBA player. Skinny, long arms, gangly, probably his dumb cowboy hat on, smirk on his face. I like cowboy hats. There's just more of a shot at him. Somebody's filming this. But he's great. But he is going to be relentlessly getting after your quarterback every snap. And he's going to tell you about it. He's going to remind you about it. He played the mind game too. Just yapping at you the whole game. Snap 1, snap 5, snap 10, in your ear, chirping. All of a sudden he beats you. Now he's in your ear harder. You got to block that guy for 75 snaps. And he's not going to take one of them off. You have a hard time beating a guy like that. And then accountability. And this to me is the biggest winner of NFL locker rooms, that if you could take a locker room mentality to corporate America, it's about holding people accountable. Imagine somebody filming your entire day, getting to a group of 15 people and going over your day, video by video, email by email, step by step. How many coffee breaks do we take? How many water breaks do we have? How many emails? How many times you play games? All the things you guys do and get away with all the time, right? Like, we couldn't do that. When I'm at work, they film everything. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. So the ultimate amount of accountability for every snap, every misstep, every play, every communication, every error is right there in public, in front of your team, in front of the coaches, in front of the people that are trying to pay you. So every snap mattered so much. Imagine having that much pressure and attention on everything you do all the time. That's why when I retired, I was like, whew, that is nice not have that anymore. But it reaches the ultimate level of accountability where you automatically blame yourself first and be like, what can I do better? That lesson I learned in Iowa City in that Ohio State game was, what else can I do? Because I know coach is going to come coach me next. And it's personal accountability first. This idea of having no yes men. So that was for Adrian. That's the Adrian Peterson rule. Because when you're really talented and you have people around you that always tell you how talented you are all the time, it's really hard to get better. We need people around us that are going to criticize us in a loving way that we can get better. Imagine having only people in your life. I'm sure a lot of us don't. I know I don't. I get told how awful I'm at stuff all the time. I had a great wife for that. But you should have that. She's going to hold me to my standards and my level of accountability that I can be better at. So to me, when I watch myself play, as I age up through my NFL career, I got hit with this right between the eyes. So I played my 8th season. Leslie Frazier was our coach. He gets fired. It tells you how good of a season we had, right? So that year, I had broken the end of my radius of my arm off, and I broke a bone in my wrist. Okay, so this is a story like, look how tough I am, right? Never missed a snap, didn't miss a snap at practice, didn't miss a snap at game. I had this little splint I would put on at practice, and in games, I would just tape it really tight, kind of loop my thumb in there so I could use it. But that thing just broke off, an inch of the end of it is off, right? So you play that season out, 8 to 10 weeks. I played through that thing at the end of the year. You get through it. Individually, I felt like I had a solid year. You're laying on the line for the Vikes, right? It's my organization. I've been there 8 years in my second contract. We fire Coach Frazier. Coach Zimmer comes in, and the first call I get from the Vikings in the offseason is, we think you're aging. We want you to take a pay cut. So like you go through this, right? I get drafted there, play 8 years there. You kind of go through all these ups and downs. You All-Pro, All-Pro, Pro Bowl, make the NFC Championship game, get to the playoffs a few times, and like it's just not enough. And it shows you that it's just a business that's going to end sometime. And I go home, and my wonderful, beautiful Italian-American wife from Chicago, I go tell her, hey, I got the call from the Vikings. They want us to take a pay cut. You know, you can come to training camp. I have 2 years left of my contract. Now, you can come, and if we don't think you're good enough or just a young guy's better than you, we'll cut you. You make zero in the NFL. Your guaranteed money is gone. Okay? Or you take a pay cut. We'll pay you. Come to training camp. It'll be guaranteed, but we're going to pay you less. So I go tell her this, and she's like, where does Rick Spielman, he was the GM, where does Rick Spielman live? We're going to go burn his house down. Like, she was so upset. I couldn't tell if she was serious or not. She is not a felon still, so she didn't burn the house down. But the reality is when she sees me go through this stuff and she sees the family and how it affects me, and you go grind every day, like she's living it all the time from the outside perspective, and she's like, how could they have called and asked that? And I just realized it's just a business. You can't take it personal. But I did. And I said, you know what, I'll take your pay cut. I didn't want to go start anew at 30 years old, because when you touch 30 years in the NFL, like they're trying to send you out to pasture. They're like, Secretariat, your race is done, go out to pasture and just eat the grass. Okay, we'll pay you a little bit to come do it. But that wasn't enough for me. That feeling I had when I went to Iowa City, that fear, that why in the road, that chip on my shoulder, man, that came back in a big way. Because in 8 years, I got smacked in the face. It's like, you're not good enough anymore. It's like, listen, I've been proving this my whole life. And I wanted to retire a Viking on my terms. So I took their terms. I played those 2 years out. I go earn the respect of Coach Zimmer. Played through my 10th year, and Vikings fans remember, Blair Walsh misses the kick wide left in the playoff game against the Seahawks. And that was my 10th year, and I'm like, it can't end that way. So I go back to the negotiating table. I want to play one more season. I had some football left in me. And and the Vikings wanted me back. They offered me a deal. I says, no, I want this much money. They agreed. We signed the deal, and it was the exact amount they took from me the previous 2 years. Because when I come from, it's like, if I shake your hand and do something, like, I'm going to hold up my end. It may not be perfect, right? I might not be the best, but I'm going to do all I can do. And all I can expect from you is to do the same. So I get to play that year out, finish a Viking, which to me is the thing I'm the most proud of, is retiring a Viking, doing it on my terms, not telling them, or not having them tell me you're done, but instead saying, hey, I'm done, thank you, I'm walking away. The best feeling I could have. But to do it on my terms and say, you know what, it's okay that you think I'm not good enough, because I see what you're seeing. I'm 30 years old, I'm not 27 anymore, I'm not moving the same way I was before, I'm not doing the things I was doing before, but that's on me now to go right that wrong. Instead of saying, you know what, heck with you. I'm going to go to Jacksonville. I'm going to go to wherever and play. Then you're a nobody in a new spot. To me, that would have been running from it. When you can embrace it and lean in and say, you know what, I'm not as good as I was, but I'll get back there. I'm glad you challenged me again. That feeling is something I will never forget. And then these things, as I finish up, the take no talents, the TNTs, these are something we should write down, because these things are what's going to matter in your success. You're never going to be the most talented person in the room. You're never going to be the smartest, fastest, biggest, strongest. There's always somebody. And if you are, go find a new room because there's somebody bigger, faster, and stronger in that room. So, but if you do these things, and you're the thermostat, and you set the energy, the attitude, the enthusiasm for a room, you're always going to be somebody that's needed. You're going to be somebody that's going to be drawn to, people that are going to want to be around you, people are going to want to engage with you, and you're going to get your best. Strip yourself of the ego, walk into the meeting, walk into your opportunity, and say, here I am. I don't care what you think of me, but I'm going to bring everything I got all the time. If you relentlessly just do that all the time, that becomes who you are. And people want to be around you. They want to embody that with you and be a part of it. High achievers don't compete with others. They compete with their own potential. Don't look around. Just hold yourself to your standards we've created. And I know this group gives a ton away. I got hearing some of the numbers and talking to leadership this morning, or when I got here, about some of the amazing stuff you guys are doing in the community. And this is the thing we're most proud of in our careers, is our impact in our own community. And in 2008, we started our Lead the Way Foundation because we thought, you know what, there's going to be somebody wearing another 52 jersey in the Vikings. Some young linebacker stud's going to come in and you'll be forgotten. And it's already happening. But if you leave a lasting impact on your community, and our foundation has done that, we've even withstood the retirement, and we're still humping along in a positive way, doing a lot of great things, working with tons of families and hospitals across all the Midwest. That's the thing we're honestly the most proud of because we can involve our kids. Our kids get to see the give back. They get to be part of our events. They get to do something that's bigger than themselves, which is something I learned as a young age, and they've learned a little bit later, is it's just not about you. The more you can do for others, right, give back, and we all know that we've all done a lot of community work in this room. I know that just based off the numbers, is it makes us feel better than even the families or the people we're interacting with. Because we can give that, whatever it is, time, energy, effort, money, whatever it is, you can give back. So thank you guys for having me today. I hit this pheasant, by the way. We talked about this earlier. Okay, thanks for having me. Thanks for your attention. I appreciate you guys moving me to the front of the day and accommodating me. But this is really special, and this is an amazing room of people. And here's some of the things that you guys are achieving is incredible. So congratulations, and thank you guys for having me.